Hello there. Good evening. And welcome back to Homestuck Epilogue streams. Welcome Aleph, welcome Sneak Cat, welcome any folks who may be viewing anonymously. Yeah, it has been one day, so I don't have a whole heck of a lot to add here. Suppose it's best to just jump on in. Oh, you may or may not have noticed. I don't know. See, here's the thing. I don't know if Twitch actually gives you a little ping when pages do this or not, but I turned on the NSFW filter again today. By which I mean I marked my channel as not safe for work because, like, this page gets even more explicit than Lonk's Fruit. So once we hit a certain point in this chapter, I may ask if there are any minors in attendance for them to politely abstain from the end of this chapter, because I just don't feel comfortable reading that kind of material to minors, like being an adult and like doing that. That just feels a little uncomfortable. So at a certain point, I'm pretty sure the next chapter is fine. There's very few chapters like this in the epilogue, but this is one of those ones where I'm kind of like, it skates a really weird line, so I play on the safe side, but that it's, that's the first part's fine. So I will let y'all know when we reach that point, just in case we got any folks who are in that group. Sorry, I just finished doing my vocal exercises. I'm sitting here like, okay. Right, so best to just get started then. Not much else to go over at the moment. Alright, so Epilogue 3. Right, still not 100% sure what that means. Should probably see if anyone else has any hot takes on that. I'll try and do that before next weekend. Okay. 14. Jake yawns and knocks on the window to Jane's office again. For some reason, Jane has the shades pulled shut all the way around, so he's been hovering here for way too long in his best tie and his best pair of short shorts. There's a crowd gathered below, gaping at the rare in-person appearance of a globally famous butt. The sunset has turned the head offices of Crocker Corp into a shimmering glass monolith, a beacon, if you will, of the future, visible for miles in every direction. Jane probably likes to think about it that way, at least. Speaking of Jane, she pops her head out from between two strips of silk-lined Venetian blind to glower at Jake, who is hovering uselessly in the air. "Use the front door," she mouths at him, but he responds with his specialty, incomprehension. "Stop ragging on Jake. Please, thanks." Anyway, that's gonna be a continuing theme for probably every single time that Jake is mentioned. We're gonna have to be like, hey, stop that. I'm sorry, what? The exasperated hand motions Jane tries next work better. "Oh, the front door, of course." Jake flies down the street so that he can take the front entrance. He whistles a quaint little ditty to himself while he waits for the elevator to go up to the top floor. This time he knocks on the office door, and Jane lets him in. Inside the office, it's dark and hazy. The whole place is candlelit, and Jane is reclining on her desk, sprawled out like a lounge singer on a grand piano. Specifically, a blue lounge singer on a blue piano, just like one of the hideous velvet paintings Jake bought in New Prospect a few years ago. Like all of his impulsive purchases, the tacky thing is gathering dust in a pile somewhere in one of the hundreds of spare rooms in his mansion, which now primarily functions as a very expensive warehouse for his atrocious hoarding habits. Yeah, so this was like yet another indication that set off a red light in my head, and I was like, don't let this be going where I think it's going. And it did, but sorry, I just need a little bit of water. And intimate knowledge of his hoarding habits, particularly the type of sultry cerulean content he is known to hoard, is exactly why Jane is wearing a blue dress with a very high hem. Jake's bow tie practically spins at the sight of it. He freezes on the spot, an animal in the predatorial headlight of this buxom blue businesswoman. Arguing about Marvel. Jane and Jake. It's chapter 14 where Jane tries to seduce Jake. Yeah. And it's also why I've marked my channel as not safe for work. For the time being. I wonder if I can change that setting midstream, if that'll actually work. Because once we get past this chapter, that's really kind of it. Well, it should be it for this stream anyway. Okay. Come have a glass of scotch with me, Jake. We have so much to discuss. Indeed. He crosses the office and shakily accepts the offered glass of ludicrously expensive fermented barley grain. He raises it to his nose and pretends to sample the scent. Jane, I must say, that is a very striking ensemble. Oh, you like it? Why don't you, come take a closer look? She's really bad at this, she thinks. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that is a succinct description of this chapter. Yeah, it's that one. She's really bad at this, she thinks. This being seduction. She's so bad at it, in fact, that Jake immediately recognizes her ruse for what it is. Laughing nervously, he sucks the whole glass of scotch into his mouth in one go, ice cubes and all. And then, because he can't actually stand the taste of scotch, immediately spits it back out, ice cubes and all, spraying Jane's brand new sexy dress with quite an ungentlemanly fountain of boozy spittle. Jane is lashed both by the scotch in her face and how quickly her plan has fallen apart. Yeah, Jake knows what's going on, immediately panics, and it's just like fucking disaster zone. Jake! Oh, but jabbers! Oh no, all over my new dress. Jane, I'm so sorry. Here, let me help you clean that... Sorry, this is like among the top 10 most fucking stupid, ridiculous things that have ever escaped the mouth of Jake English. Jane, I am so sorry. Here, let me help you clean that giggle water off your kettle drums. Oh my god. No, you've done enough. Goodness, you've only been here 2 minutes and already... Why did I ever think... Jane, please, I insist. She tries to push him away, but Jake considers himself to be a gentleman. He helps her to the floor and shrugs off his dress coat so that he can use it to wipe her down. She is staring at the ceiling like she hopes it will split open and suck her into a supermassive black hole so she doesn't have to deal with anything that is going on right now. Some of Jake's scotchy slobber is in her glasses, which is not the place she was planning on having it tonight. Woo! That is a double entendre that I forgot about. Yeah. Wow. Jane, my goodness. Is this why you wanted to see me? To show off, this proper bit of frock? Oh, no, of course not. I just wanted to talk about the economy. By Jove, the economy! Jane, my dear friend, please tell me all about the economy. Jake doesn't care about the economy, but he's an ardent supporter of changing the subject. It's doing quite well right now, actually. I should hope so. But, yeah, the economy. And the economy, but said in the same way that Caliborn says compound in Starbucks. Yeah, enjoy that before Dirk fucks everything up. I know. Oh my god. Like, there's already so many little traces of him that you can pick up from the narrative parts. But I just, yeah. Just soaking the compound economy. Exactly. Right? Like, the economy is like a primary theme of meat. Anyway. Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to that one. That coming up a lot and affects Dave Strider and the economy. But it might not continue to do so in the future, which you can guess is of great concern to me, being that I am a pioneering entrepreneur. Well, frig, that's awful, and you should do everything in your power to adequately explain to me this conundrum, which I admit I am not up to dick on. You... Jane laughs quite sincerely as he ruffles his jacket through her hair. Oh, Jake, you really have no idea what's going on, do you? Wait, is this about that election muck-up? Because Jane puts a finger to Jake's lips and shushes him. It's a very smooth move, a total recovery. He shushes, and she directs him to one of the couches that line her office. They stumble there, his jacket and hands still wrapped around her shoulders. Okay, I'm sensing that we're fairly soon going to be getting to the point where I'm not comfortable reading the part that I'm not comfortable reading to an audience of minors, because they are making their way to the couch. If you happen to be in that demographic, honestly, it should take less than 10 minutes to get to the end of this chapter, so y'all can come back on over. It's just this next little bit where it gets just like a wee bit too close to being smutty that I'm like, ooh boy. Yeah. My goodness. Need a little more water. Okay, that helped. Where were we? Okay. I'm sure you've heard an earful about the election already. I apologize. You must understand that my mind is quite occupied by it right now. But I've been doing an awful lot of thinking as of late. I see. About what? About everything, I suppose. About my life, about all of our lives, about my life, about all of our lives, and the trajectory they've taken since we've helped to create this new universe. You must admit that it's a lot to grasp, and I'm not certain we've all taken the time to truly contemplate our place in it. This is not really the kind of conversation you initiate if you're looking to extract a sexual deal out of someone. It is, however, the kind of conversation that you might have with a childhood friend who has become somewhat emotionally estranged from you, both so busy with their exciting careers and misuse of their godhood. Who are they now? The same Jake and Jane who passed like particularly dysfunctional ships in the night a decade ago? Or is Jane wiser and Jake kinder? Are they better versions of themselves? Jane absently rubs the narrow strap of her dress between two fingers, vainly attempting to sort out her jumbled thoughts. Homestuck Crazy Ex-Girlfriend or BoJack Horseman, like. Oh, I don't really have a frame of reference for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, but BoJack Horseman, I do. And yeah, that is actually, yeah, I agree. That's a functional comparison. Never thought it would be a functional comparison to Homestuck, but yeah, BoJack Horseman is definitely up there. Right, and this is mostly Dirk musing, I think, here. About who his friends are. That's an earful, Jane. I know. It's a headful, too. But... I know. It's a headful, too. I can't help but worry. Have we really just been drifting these last 7 years? Drifting both in the sense of failing to fulfill our personal potentials and in the sense of, well, drifting apart? Jane pulls a leg up beneath her, which slides her bare knee between Jake's. The couch dips a bit under their weight. Okay, so this is like the definite drawing the line point for what I am comfortable with reading to a minor audience. Just in case y'all are still hanging around. I swear, like, less than 10 minutes and we'll be back in action, so it's all good. I must admit, I'd never thought of it that way. I know. It's just that we're both so busy all the time. These years go by so fast, and I miss you. Jake blinks, his eyes wet and glossy beneath his spectacles. Ah, well, I suppose I missed you too, Jane. Everyone's got unresolved issues. A lot of them are assholes also. The characters have very inconsistent results when it comes to working on these things. Yeah. Yeah, those are definitely commonalities. Okay. Here's this part, I guess. The moment goes from calculated to genuine in an instant. Jake drops his coat and glides his hands down her bare arms so that he can hold her? Yeah, that's definitely what he's doing. Holding her, and not too gently either. Jane really is quite pretty, with the candlelight glittering across her spectacles, her hair damp and her front teeth poking out from beneath her lip. She's so pretty that Jake can't stop himself from sliding a hand up to her neck and using his thumb to tip her face back so that they're staring right at each other in the low light, close enough that Jane can probably smell his disgusting Scotch breath. She definitely does smell it because her cute nose scrunches up and she laughs again, a very small, private noise, a noise just for him. So he kisses her. Very well, if he does think so himself. Dirk has given him a lot of uninvited but incisive criticism on his kissing over the years, so Jake wouldn't be surprised if he was considered the best kisser on the entire planet at this point. Jane breathes in, shocked for a moment. Even more shocked when Jake hooks a hand around her wrist and pushes her down. She makes a startled noise into his mouth. Then she throws her arms around his neck. It should be awkward, taboo at this point, considering the history between them. But it all happens so easily. Jane undoing Jake's bow tie, Jake hooking his thumb under the hem of her dress and hiking it up another inch it really cannot spare for decency's sake. There is nothing awkward about this moment, Jake thinks. There's nothing awkward about this moment, Jake thinks. Two old friends, hot as the blazes, giving into passion? Who could accuse them of impropriety? Nobody worth their salt in his book. It all makes perfect sense. The inevitable consummation of a whirlwind romance fit for the big screen. Really, the only surprise is how long it took to happen. Jane is a beautiful lady, that's for sure. She always has been, but she's only grown more ravishing as she's come into the full blossom of her womanhood. Smooth, silky skin, thick, dark lashes, full, feminine lips, not to mention curves like the Dickens. It's all certainly conducive to activities of close phonological proximity to the phrase. Oh, I think I get it, because he used the word Dickens. Okay. I kind of glazed over that one the first time I read through this chapter, and now I'm kind of like, pardon? But, oh, here's something that I noticed here. Just generally, with the epilogue as a whole. Somebody fucking loves describing eyelashes, because that happens so many times. It comes up in, like, basically every description of an intimate scene where one character is intimately describing the other character is like this, like a detailed description of their eyelashes. Ooh, we have conflicting guesses. Yeah, it's definitely one of those two. Because it's never been a thing with Hussey in particular. Not throughout Homestuck at least, but yeah, one of those two just fucking loves eyelashes. Oh, does anyone remember whether or not there were descriptions of Marvis's or Lonck's eyelashes in either of their Roots and Friend sim? Because I feel like that would be possibly a settling factor. When has Hussey described someone's appearance? Yeah, that's true as well. Homestuck hasn't really needed this before because it's a fucking web comic. Like, it had the visuals this whole time. So it's never really needed that kind of detailed description before. Weighing the three choices here. Yeah, I feel like, because I actually, outside of the epilogue, I don't really have a basis for recognizing specifically Jen's writing. I haven't, like, Promstuck was a long, long time ago, obviously. God, that's making me feel old. But I know that she has a more recent book out as well. Another term that we haven't come to quite yet that I noticed pops up a lot in both Roots is things mooring and unmooring. As in, you know, eyelashes seem too vanilla of a kink for him. You did just read it, but you don't think you processed it. That's fair. Yeah, we have very little prior poster reference for Hussey. Yeah, V is almost too obvious. V, yeah. I feel like, yeah, it makes me want to, like, just double check the two friend sims that she wrote. For any mentions of eyelashes. Honestly, when I think about Hussey and eyelashes, I'm picturing that one scene in Homestuck where Dave takes his, like, Homestuck Dave takes his sunglasses off, and there's this really, like, super close-up of his face, and he has these really long eyelashes. Which, like, swerves in the direction of Hussey a little bit. But yeah, Jen, lots of purpose we could, seems the least horny of the three, but definitely has some horniness we aren't noticing. Oh geez, that is a vein of analysis we could technically go on. Yeah, it's shots in the dark at the moment, but yeah, that's just an observation that I wanted to point out, that eyelashes appear a lot. This is definitely the work with three horny peeps. Oh my god. I mean, like, yeah, supposedly V did say that Jen did most of the, like, first draft of the prose from for the writing. But that, I mean, like, there's definitely some horny vibes coming out of this. I mean, like, you know, both sides of things. There's a lot going on. I'm like a little tempted to potentially use the Twitter machine to ask the ether who loves eyelashes so much. But I also don't want it to seem like I'm harassing the authors, because I just want to, they've dealt with so many fucking questions, I just want to leave them alone. Don't think prom stuck. Okay. Duly noted. Okay. Swerving back into the plot from that diversion. We're almost done with this chapter. Jane's baby-soft palm, unmarred by the calluses of deft swordsmanship, slides down Jake's cheek and dips under the collar of his shirt. She caresses his clavicle and then tenderly trails her fingers up the side of his neck, steadying herself as she deepens their passionate kiss. Jane's touch is nothing like Dirk's. Dirk has palms so rough that they sting, especially on skin that's thin and supple, like the column of the throat, right over the jugular. He pulls away from Jane's lips and lifts her spectacles off her nose. It's a motion that still feels practiced and familiar, despite how long ago he'd last had the precious chance. Those rare, intimate moments that Jake was allowed to slip off Dirk's shades and look upon his face, unobstructed, stand out more clearly in his mind than almost any other in his life. And now, this is where we can see Dirk starting to creep in there and start inserting his really weirdly possessive bullshit into Jake's head. Jake swallows. He can't stop thinking about how Dirk kissed him last time they didn't hook up. Which is a thing, of course, that didn't happen. So how could Jake possibly be thinking about it? Is it just some sort of Pavlovian response that's making his heart race like this? He does his best to push aside the untimely thoughts away, but his fingers tremble as he sets Jane's glasses aside. Jane gazes back at him, cheeks flushed with desire, eyes dark and alluringly coy. All her features are round and soft, welcoming, soothing, the kind of face that makes you feel like you've come home. Dirk is the exact opposite. Long nose, thick eyebrows, and pointed features. A man who seems built down to the very essence of his soul to be sharp, hard to approach, harder still to touch. But when looked at from the right angle, he's anime levels of handsome. Breathtakingly, choir of angels singingly anime handsome. The sort of man you can't keep your hands off of, no matter how jagged his edges. But his hair is so much softer than it looks. His heart, too. When a heart like that opens up to you, it opens up the whole world as well. A world of increased appreciation for combat, philosophy, life, love. That's another... This is more thematically related. Aside, not connected to the eyelash thing, but this is thematically a specific set of words that comes up multiple times. I'd be interested to read an analysis on why that's specifically and how it connects to the actual main themes that the epilogue is trying to communicate. Also, hey Dirk, once again, stop stroking your own fucking ego, jack off. No! Jake yelps and rolls off the couch in such a panic that he almost takes Jane with him. She flies to her feet, startled, breathing fast, and readjusts her disheveled clothes. Jake, are you quite okay? I have to go right now, sorry. Jake's already hovering 2 feet off the ground before Jane can say another word. He doubles back to the end of the office and grabs the bottle of near untouched scotch before kicking open the latch on one of Jane's giant windows and letting himself out. He's got a lot of things to think about, apparently. You wish you still thought it was Dirk, Jake writes, but it's just Dirk writes. I know. My heart goes out to every major Dirk, Jake shipper, because, like, they got tossed right the fuck under the bus in this. So many times. Like, really aggressively. What the ever-living fuck? Jane stands alone in her office, confused, horny, and kind of pissed. She slowly slips the strap of her dress back over her shoulder. Then she closes the window, sits in her CEO chair, and speed dials the number for her one-man kitchen cabinet. Yo, what's up? Not Jake, apparently. I mean, like... Okay, I gotta give snaps for that. Wow, going straight for the double entendre, huh? How much of that scotch did you have? I think a few drops of it made it into my mouth when Jake spewed his beverage directly onto my face. Things went badly, huh? Ugh, this is so embarrassing. You know, I wouldn't have approached it this way if I wasn't absolutely certain it's margin for error. You know, I wouldn't have approached it this way if I wasn't absolutely certain its margin for error was virtually non-existent. I mean, it's Jake. Were you nice to him? Well, I told you, you can't be nice to Jake. Listen, Jane, I don't really have time to jam right now. Why don't you leave Jake to me? So this whole, like, you can't be nice to Jake thing, I still, like, I gotta figure out the right words for why it rubs me so wrong. Like, it just feels very, like... How do I put it? Like, I don't know why the term gaslighting is coming to mind, because that's not what it is. Oversimplifying, infantilizing. I know there's better words to describe it. They just aren't coming to me. But, yeah, are you kind of grasping, like, the direction that I was taking that? Am I getting at least enough in the right direction that the point is sort of communicated? As to just why specifically that kind of is repeated insistence that, oh, you can't be nice to Jake. He doesn't do nice. Like, is it why that specifically bothers me so much? Yeah. Jane squeezes her eyes shut and very softly and... Okay, yeah, I see where this sentence is going. Jane squeezes her eyes shut and very softly and quietly bumps her head against the edge of her desk. Why do I feel as if we've had this exact conversation almost word for word before? Because we have. Many times. Well, what do we do now? I'm afraid I've gone and made things worse. Like I said, let me work on it. I know what I'm doing. You always say that. Haven't been wrong yet. Jane, head still planted firmly on the desk, laughs at that. There's a sardonic twist in Dirk's voice that intentionally recalls every time he's ever fucked up. But it satisfies Jane nevertheless. She knows that he won't fail her. I know. That sentence is a big bass boosted oof. Fine. Please call me later when we may strategize. And also because I could use some emotional support after what just happened. I might be caught up for a while. Why's that? Can't explain right now. Get you on the flip side, Jane. Wait! Dirk doesn't wait. There's a shadow cast in his doorway that is much more important than the election. Rose is braced against the doorframe, one hand on her purse and one on her waist. She has her head tipped just so, her pale hair falling across in her face at an angle that bisects her perfectly neutral expression. Dirk sets down his phone and acknowledges her with a nod. Well, go on. Rose, no, don't do it, Rose! Ooh, fuck boy, this is the Lord English fight chapter. Okay, definite blood and gore warning. And death whole lot of death. Good God. Oh, okay. I've had some water. Let's fucking go. 15. John. Fight Lord English. All around you is pandemonium, a multichromatic cyclone of shrieks and clashing colors as Mina's ghost army claws at the borders of Paradox Space. Wait, that is her army, right? It seems like it's been so long since you've thought about any of this, but you're pretty sure this is the army you, Mina, Vriska, and the other circuit were trying to raise. Wrong! It's Tavros' army. Give him some fucking credit. So it's true then. The Juju has finally unloaded you exactly where you needed to be. Every screaming body pitches down and goes white the closer it gets to the black hole above you. And below, front and center, is Lord English himself. The big deal version, pimped up, hulked out, and throwing a huge, universe-ending tantrum. Unlike his younger form, his eyes aren't flickering wildly. They're locked in place, an 8-ball in each socket. You briefly wonder what that means, but your curiosity is interrupted by a massive outburst of technicolor dragon breath coming from his mouth. Dirk, playing off his obvious self-hatred and suicidal ideation, his jokes hits, yeah, for sure. Why did everything here have to be filtered through the lens of someone who hates Tavros? Tavros deserves better. Abso-fucking-lutely. Why the fuck does Dirk hate Tavros in the first place? Like, honestly, I think all of the... And Vriska. Like, why is he so aggressively pro-Vriska? Like, those are both hussy attitudes. Like, that is hussy attitude shining through. Because what the fuck reason does Dirk have to have either of those biases? Like, really? He met Vriska for, like, 2 minutes before they took off to fight the 3 Jacks. And Tavros, I don't know, I guess maybe he knows Tavros, right? But yeah, like, Tavros deserves fucking better. Oh, and also side note, of course, the 8-ball in each socket, because the 8-ball is the last ball that you pocket in a game of pool. Of course. Where the fuck did I stop? Right at the end of the paragraph. Speaking of Tavros, the laser show tears its way through a squadron of ghosts led by... Is that Tavros? Seems like an awful choice to lead an army, but what do you know? Wasn't Vriska supposed to be leading the charge? Where is she anyway? Tavros is a fantastic choice to lead an army, because he's the one who actually fucking put it together. And was able to keep that shit together, and did not have to use fucking coercive mind control powers. Thanks. Listen. You don't have time to dwell on Vriska. She's probably somewhere around here, biding her time, waiting to execute her masterstroke and finish English off at just the right moment, like the cunning bitch she is. No, you can't think about that now. You're becoming enraptured by the sound surrounding you. Not a sound, a sensation. A subharmonic symphony that you can only hear in your bones. This is it, the end of Paradox Space. The thing you saw in your anime dreams. A hard lump of air travels down your throat, but you... Don't hesitate! Behind you, the Juju disappears, sucked out of reality with a pop. You move your arms in dumb little motions, sort of like jazz hands, and summon up a wisp of wind to keep your cracked glasses in place. You then pull one of your sickest hammers out of your strife deck. Your teen friends follow suit. You cast a glance back over your shoulder at them. They all look pretty cool. Rose knitting light around her with the quills of echidna, Dave with his sword Calderfuch at the ready, trailing time distortions behind him that look, if you don't squint, A lot like JPEG artifacts. Jade's got her favorite gun cocked and ready with her ears perked up. Let's do this! Don't get overconfident. We have to do it exactly like we discussed. First, but Rose doesn't get to finish what she was trying to say. Lord English's mouth roars open and a wave of energy blasts through your group. Rose is the only one caught in it. She dissolves in slow motion. You can see the outline of her body in shadow, one arm thrown up over her eyes, shoulders pulled up defensively, cape billowing out behind her. She leaves an afterimage of shimmering light in her wake and then dissipates, drifting apart like a handful of salt tossed out to sea. You can almost hear the cosmic clock counting down, tick-tock, and a chime accompanying her fate. Heroic. So this was the first instance of fridging, which is why there was a fridging tag. Please drop the Tavros sucks joke. They aren't funny. They're not fucking funny. And I have been meaning, okay, shit, I can't see where my bookmark is. I think I'm like 3/4 of the way through reading book 4. Because I have been rereading Act 5, Act 1 along with the notes. And I want to read all of the notes too. I have all the context before I do this. But I have been meaning, basically ever since I got to Tavros' introduction in that book, to do an angry fucking Twitter rant about not just like Hussey not just continuing the Tavros sucks jokes, but the continuation of, like, I thought at least, like, last night I finally read the part where, you know, like, they're bringing Tavros into, Vriska's bringing Tavros into the game, and she's, like, shaking his wheelchair, trying to make him apologize for being disabled. And during other parts where it's like, oh, this character's doing some, like, bad shit, Hussey, like, acknowledges it generally, and, like, tut-tuts in the comments or in some sort of way. But he just continued with this, like, pathetic fucking, like, you know, like, oh, you know, haha, he should apologize, you know, Vriska's done nothing wrong, etc. Like, that kind of line of joking, like, and I was just sitting there like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? And it's like, it's that stuff. It's the fact that he talked all through Tavros' introduction about Vriska and how much better Vriska was and how Vriska would have done this so much better and how, oh, Tavros is such a loser. Like, imagine if he had talked through all of Terzi's introduction about how much better Gamzee would have done stuff. It's the same fucking thing. Because, like, I mean, like, stand Vriska all you want, but, like, she was Tavros' abuser for a period of time in the comic, and it's undeniable. And it's fucking inappropriate for him to keep doing this shit. Like, that has nothing to do with the fact that Rose just got fridged, but I'm really mad about it. One day I'm gonna actually put my words together in a way that is more coherent than an angry rant. But yeah, first I'm gonna finish reading all the notes, so I have all the context available at the moment, and then I'm gonna get mad about it on Twitter like an adult. God. Yeah. We gotta talk about that shit more. Man, we gotta talk about that shit more. Ugh, okay. So Rose is dead. To jump back on topic. Rose is dead. Rose just got fridged. Okay. Rose, no! Jade doesn't wait to fire. Space splinters open around her so loudly it drowns out the fire from her rifle. Lord English raises one of his giant fuck-off hands to deflect her anomaly-powered bullets, giving Dave an opportunity to attack. Dave raises his legendary blade and aims for the impressively beefy torso. It should be a sure hit, like slashing the side of an unusually broad green barn, but he whiffs completely. It's a wonder how such a big man can move so fast. Jade inspects her rifle and tosses it aside. What is she doing? With all the powers of a witch of space at her command, combined with the infinite abilities of a First Guardian, she's still messing around with basic firearms? She makes 2 tight fists and strikes a pose befitting of a warrior about to power the fuck up. She focuses and strains. A doggy snarl rips its way through her clenched teeth. A hazy aura envelops her, and as space buckles and lenses about her form. And then nothing. No crackle of electricity, no licks of chartreuse flame. She searches within and realizes her power source is completely unavailable to her. Then she looks up, and it dawns on her. That thing in the sky, the hungry black orb gobbling up everything in sight. That's where the green sun used to be. It's been swallowed completely by a black hole. The realization is horrifying. She feels suddenly, absolutely helpless. Jade opens her mouth to scream for help, but she's cut off. A razor-sharp fragment of reality slams into her back. It skewers her, exiting right through the center of the space symbol on her hoodie. She chokes and goes limp, encircled by a halo of her own blood. And there goes Jade. Ah, poor Jade. Get in there! You're barely a minute into the battle, and both your tactician and your most powerful player are down. You summon a windstorm to momentarily keep Lord English preoccupied and try to grab your sister's wrist. Instead, you catch the hem of her skirt. Lord English struggles to emerge from the wind prison you just whipped up. You can see one of his arms flailing just outside the circumference of your storm. Tavros has pulled himself to his feet and, recognizing English's temporary state of vulnerability, directs the ghost on his side to attack. No one is paying attention to him. Give Tavros more fucking respect. Jade is floating away from you. You're having a hard time maintaining your whirlwind, your glasses, your hammer, and your grip on her. Lord English's head has emerged from the apex of your storm. He's looking directly at you, and his mighty jaw creaks open slowly, well beyond the reasonable capacity of any mortal mandible hinge. You stare directly down the dark barrel of his throat, which readies another terrible laser shot. There's not much time to react. Make a decision. You let Jade go. She floats in literal slow motion, buoyed by the billows of her skirt. You summon a gust of wind and push her farther away from the battle. You're hit by a blowback from the current, and a line of her blood splashes across your face, but releasing her has created enough separation, just as you'd hoped. The laser breath passes between you, narrowly missing you both. You reel back like you've just been punched. Your control over the storm goes haywire for a second, long enough for Lord English to free his gaudy gold peg leg from it, and, more catastrophically, for you to drop your already broken glasses. You whirl around and swing your hammer up to bop his horrible, deadly skull back into your storm. You can't really see what's going on, but you hear a gigantic crunch, and then another. It sounds like a cereal commercial is playing outside the periphery of your vision. Dave! What? Is Lord English eating my hammer? Yeah, dude, he totally is. What the fuck? Oh, whoops. Can't believe I brushed over that one. What is... So, what is the Caliborn theory? And also, yeah, this is very reminiscent of Game Over. Because there's a lot of people dying. It's a true outrage. This isn't going to work. Waging battle without your glasses. Lord English has just eaten one of your sickest hammers due to your blind folly. You take a deep breath and dive down, right into the sea of ghosts. You land clumsily, palms first, and do an accidental handspring right into a bunch of alternate timeline trolls you don't recognize. Yeah, so that's a group of the Dancestors. Did you start crying out of laughter? Oh, when he eats the hammer? Oh yeah, I laughed my fucking ass off when he ate the fucking hammer. You find the post. Yes. Please link. I am super down for all of the fan theories. Actually, while we're paused for a minute, I'm going to take a drink of water. Oh, theory fuel. Yeah, I like that term. Hey guys, anyone see a pair of glasses down here? It's pretty important. Everybody shrugs. This gaggle of lost souls collectively personifies uselessness. It is inconceivable to you that a single one of them will survive this battle. Perhaps it's for the best. Thanos should have eaten past Mjolnir in the Infinity War. I heard that Endgame is out. I thought that wasn't going to be out for a while, but I guess it's out now. I don't really pay attention to Marvel Cinematic Universe, but you meant an Endgame. Yeah, I have been paying zero attention to that whole thing. Godspeed, Marvel fans, I suppose. Infinity War came out a year ago? What the fuck? Oh, I guess time does happen. You know what fucked me up today? April is almost over. You're pirating because fuck Marvel. Good move. I support that message. You're not into hero movies, but your GF saw it. Yeah, I'm not really a hero movie person either. So, I mean, like, I've seen a couple of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, but, I never really got, like, invested. Yeah, April's almost over. That fucked me up so bad. Especially because it's made me realize that, like, I am less than 4 weeks away from the execution of the fashion show section that I have been planning since February. It's been a long time coming, and holy fuck. Yeah, it's been a bit of a journey trying to get that together this year. But yeah, that kind of freaked me out. April is almost over already. Wow. Okay. Time. Time sure does happen. Although, apparently, according... Where is it in here? That someone says that time just, like, isn't real or something? I don't know. Somebody says time isn't real somewhere in these. Well, we're not going to get there if I keep talking my face off. So... Behind you, the wind barrier tears open. Lord English explodes from his confinement and swings his peg leg through the army. Ghosts scatter like bowling pins, many of them flying into the cracks in space. Before the leg hits you, a troll leaps into action and blocks the blow. Her trident makes a satisfying ring off of the round of the peg and sends it skidding backward. Whoa, that was a close one. Shell of a time to finally show up. Sorry, we were kinda busy. Bit of a weird question, but have you seen a pair of glasses down here? Are these what you're looking for? Tavros appears behind you and hands over your glasses, still in 2 pieces. You return them to your face so you can take a quick assessment of the battlefield. Say thank you, you ungrateful ass. Thank Tavros for finding your fucking glasses. I try and find one specific bubble in a bubble bath, and it's very tiny. Yeah. Finding specific Tumblr posts can be like that. Very frustrating. Y'all have seen me do it enough times. Try and do it enough times on stream. The theory was that Caliborn wrote the epilogues, or maybe just had a hand in them. Yeah. Okay. I think I've heard like I've heard that statement, but never the finer details of where the idea is coming from necessarily. Take a quick assessment of the battlefield. Oh boy. Lord English, now free from your wind trap, is stomping around, throwing an even bigger shit fit than before. The black hole above him is getting bigger. You can see the ghosts at the edge of the battlefield tumbling through space toward it. Distorted, screaming, and helpless. Also, Tavros suddenly is leading an admirable charge of about 6 ghosts to attack Lord English's flesh foot. You wince, because you can see what's coming before it happens. It's a shame, because you didn't have the chance to thank him for finding your glasses. Okay, fine, I redact my statement. John was going to thank Tavros. English raises his knee and stomps 3 ghosts into oblivion. The other 4, Tavros included, get vaporized in a beam. The ghost army seems to be thinning out pretty badly by now. Most of the ones remaining are either fleeing or getting sucked into the hole. You whip out another hammer, a classic this time, the Wrinkle Fucker. Yeah, boy, the Wrinkle Fucker! That's one of my favorites. Yeah, press F for Tavros. Where did I? There we go. Its boinging pair of irons are hot, hissing, and ready for action. You use the wind to propel yourself back towards the fray. Dave is slicing paper cuts into English's torso with glancing nicks from his blade, but the monster is spry as ever, making him a difficult target. You take advantage of his distracted cavorting to wham him on the side of the skull. Your hammer connects with a satisfying crunch, and he stumbles back, but recovers and lunges forward in a motion so quick you can barely follow it. English grabs the Wrinkle Fucker in his mouth. Grabs the Wrinkle Fucker with his mouth. You hold on tight, but he starts shaking his head rapidly the way a dog with a rabbit tries to break its neck. He chomps down hard and shatters the hammer's head, gobbling down the broken pieces. You watch incredulously as the giant dude eats yet another one of your favorite hammers. Unbelievable! He lunges for the handle in a ridiculously greedy attempt to finish what's left of your weapon. You recoil, careening out towards the black hole, but manage to stabilize yourself. You look at the handle of your tragically masticated Wrinkle Fucker, shrug, and toss it into the hole. Glancing back down towards your foe, you notice Mina still appears to be hanging on, clinging to his left suspender. Yo, hold on. Going in for the krill. Dave takes a step back to provide some space for whatever killer move she's got up her sleeve. She raises her trident and jams it into the back of Lord English's neck. English reacts as if he's been stung by a bee. He howls and rears up, throwing Mina off his back with a force that sends her hurtling out into space. You can't track her in the void with your eyes. She's flung so far and so fast. You can only assume the worst. Well, technically speaking, she does not get the worst. She will be back. Glancing back down, you see English hasn't wasted any time after ridding himself of the Glancing back down, you see English hasn't wasted any time after ridding himself of the irksome heiress. He has Dave pinned under his big green foot and is applying pressure. You've got to act fast. You flip out another hammer, you don't care which one, and send it flying towards the monster's face. English quickly whips his head in the direction of the sailing hammer and swallows it whole. You rush after that, reaching for another hammer without thinking. The brief distraction, aside from providing English with another tasty hammer snack, seems to have bought Dave just enough wiggle room to slip out from under his foot, regain his composure, and draw his sword. John, I need a little... Dave ducks a wide blow from English's swinging fist. He backs up a little, holding his sword out in front of him with 2 shaking hands. Anything. I need a little anything right now. Literally any stupid fucking thing will do. I'm on it. You pop your strife deck open and just spam the hell out of your remaining hammers. A few excellent hammers that cost you a fortune to make, a bunch of shitty hammers you made as a joke, and everything in between. With another flick of your wrist, you spin them around so fast they form a perfectly impenetrable barrier of pure shitty hammer. Okay, the barrier's not the slightest bit impenetrable, but you've got to psych yourself up for this next attack somehow. In your hand is a weapon you haven't thought about in a long time. The Pop-O-Matic Vrillyhoo. It hums with both tricksy energy and the barely contained potential for mischief. You strike the baddest ass pose possible to strike while wielding such a clownish-looking implement and begin your advance. However, you're interrupted by a voice screaming out from behind you. It's half familiar, half cat? Dave Petta! Yeah, boy! I love Dave Petta. With my whole gay heart. Wait! You whip your head around just in time to see a bolt of orange and green energy racing by you like a bullet. It slams into Lord English and sends him stumbling. I'm back! Dave stands there with his sword, absolutely agog, his expression perfectly reflecting a blend of horror and the total inability to process who or what he's looking at. Excuse me, big yawn. Oh, it's midnight. Okay. We might have to take 5 early, just because we got a fair bit left over here. Oh, and Dave Petter's your favorite. Yeah, I love them too. And Dave Sprite. Dave Sprite is very swell. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. We'll go until this marker, and then we'll take 5 minutes, and then we will read the final round. Dude, I can't believe you don't recognize me. It's me, Dave Sprite. And also Nepeta? Now we're called Dave Petta Sprite Squared. We permanently merged forms and worked out all our shit. Oh. Well, that sounds fucked up, but okay. Actually, you know what? I think we might be able to just go to the end of the chapter. I think I'm just going to blitz through to the end of this one. Dave Petta spreads their wings, sending waves of warm light through the battlefield. The light feels comforting somehow when it hits you. Behind them, Lord English is struggling to his feet again, roaring as he rolls from one side to the other like a kicked-over turtle. His muscles are so huge it's hard for him to maneuver. It would be hilarious if only all of reality weren't tearing apart at the seams around you. The sky shivers and shakes, raining needles of breached matter that burst and shatter at all angles, opening new voids where they land. Above the bedlam, Dave Petta is finishing up an inspiring speech. You realize you tuned most of it out due to the surrounding chaos. Yet another moment where candy is cut off. That inspiration and emotional connection. I know it looks powerful right now, but we can do it. In fact, we're literally the only ones who can do it. After all, it is our destiny. Well, that last bit was pretty good, you guess. At least you caught the end, which was presumably the most important and uplifting part. You and Dave exchange a look that silently says all that needs to be said right now. Dave Petta is right. You 3 are the only ones left, and there's no room for failure. Final round. The last leg of the fight proceeds like a well-oiled machine. Perhaps a well-oiled machine careening down a steep hill towards the edge of a cliff, but well-oiled nonetheless. You, Dave, and Dave Petta. That's what you call a team. And not just because, upon examining your surroundings, you 3 appear to be the last 3 living or dead beings left in existence. But damn it, you'll take it. You turn your hammers into an efficient spiral, a carousel of ass-kicking, and direct its fury right at Lord English's face. The butts of the hammers hit him over and over again, like racking up points in a slot machine. Dave manages to carve a red line up Lord English's side, drawing real blood this time. The slash snaps one of his suspenders in half, and must sever something else too, because the sword makes a grisly, meaty squelch when he pulls it out. Dave turns half a second too late to avoid getting sprayed by the wound. English howls and swipes at Dave. Not wasting any time, you bury a hammer in his gaping mouth. Unsurprisingly, it gets swallowed, so you throw another one. Now you're just throwing them into his fucking mouth like you're feeding him Scooby snacks. It's a gluttonous display you won't soon forget. You realize you seem to be stuck in a cycle and are in serious danger of running out of hammers. Dave, cat sprite thing. Help! Coming, bro. Dave Petta scrapes their cool Wolverine claws up Lord English's back and then kicks him in the back of the head. You time it perfectly and complete the combo with a well-placed Vrilly-Hoo undercut to his jaw. On the snapback, Lord English grabs the head of the hammer in his mouth. Oh no, not again, you big ugly oaf. I really, really like this hammer. Oh God, John. Oh yeah, we're also approaching one of the best lines in the whole epilogue. Maybe it's the sentiment attached to the hammer, or maybe you're just fed up with this gross pig treating your full inventory of hammers like an all-you-can-eat buffet. But the bullshit stops here, you think. Which is why you refuse to let the handle go when English wraps his tongue around it and unhinges his jaw with a sick, wet pop. You plant one foot under his nose and the other on his mandible and tug back. He's making a guttural sound at the back of his throat and sucks the Vrilly-Hoo deeper in. Your heel slips on some drool and your whole leg skids straight into his mouth. You twist, off balance, and fail to catch yourself. You only let go of the hammer when you can feel the walls of his throat constricting around your ankles. The pressure sucks you in up to the knee with one gulp. Vrilly-Hoo is in his stomach, and you're following it down quicker than you can even process. Is this the end? No, you think. This is such an unfairly stupid fucking way to die. Dave Petta flashes behind you and hooks their arms under your shoulders. Oh, John! Dave Petta flashes behind you and hooks their arms under your shoulders. They yank you out, clearing your head from the monster's maw at least. But English rehinges his jaw and clamps down on your chest. Hard. Dave Petta reacts quickly, shoving their claws between his molars. You can hear them growling as they slowly twist their arm to pry the massive jaw open. You're not dead yet, but Lord English definitely got a big, sharp tooth in you. Your vision reels and goes blurry, then patchy, then dark, then... Don't fucking die. You pass out for... Well, you have no idea how long it was, but it was long enough for Dave Petta to get you out of Lord English's mouth. You can see their face floating above you. They're just a smudge of neon swimming in a sea of chaos. And here comes one of the best lines in the whole fucking thing. God damn it. Wow, you almost got bored to death. God damn it. What? I'm afraid to say that you look like total shit, my dude. You should stay here while you should stay here while we wind this bitch down. Permeows me you won't move? Permeows? Oh, promise. Oh. Dave Petta holds something up to your face. Your glasses. They tuck them into your front pocket, the front pocket of your hoodie, and pat you on the head before darting through the air back towards the battle. You're woozy and don't have the energy to stop yourself from drifting. There's blood floating up around you, dilute and bubbly in the air like cooking oil in water. It's yours. Examine wound. You lift your chin and see it. Lord English's gold tooth cracked off at the base and embedded in your chest. It must be stuck between two of your ribs, you think, because it hurts like a bitch when you try to breathe. You keep your head up and watch the battle, but it's also indistinct and far away, playing out like shadow theater on a wall. Dave finds his moment. He rams the Caldefolch into Lord English's chest all the way up to the hilt. It penetrates his flesh like nothing else has to this point. The wound around the blade sizzles slightly. The weapon, the unusual material it's made out of, which is a cue ball, is poison to English. He cries out in a cracked, broken staccato. It's an ear-splitting wail that cleaves the last of the furthest ring apart. Reality falls away from the mooring of the all-surrounding white light like a peeled eggshell. Mooring. Remember I was saying earlier when we were talking about eyelashes, things mooring and unmooring? Yeah, there's one example right there. That happens many times. Or the use of that term happens many times. Dave's trying to get his sword free, but he's stuck. English's shriek morphs into a sinister, predatory rattle as his jaw creaks open. His mouth... Oh my god, I forgot that this is specifically how Dave goes. Holy cow. His mouth envelopes Dave's head and snaps shut. He twists once, then twice, then again with a crack. A disaster of blood instantly coats his skull and upper torso. He swallows the disembodied head whole with a triumphant gulp. The limp torso goes spiraling lazily in the direction of the black hole. Rip. God, let's get some fucking F's in chat for Dave. Holy fuck, man. Dave Petty is yelling something indistinct. Or maybe they're just yowling at the top of their lungs. That's what you feel like doing right now, but you can't move. Your limbs feel like lead. You consult your strife deck, but you've got nothing left. No hammers, no nothing. It's up to Dave Petta, who appears to have plenty left. If not in the strife deck per se, then in the heart. During the beast's grisly moment of gloating over the younger Strider's death, Dave Petta stands 20 paces behind him, crouches low on the ground, wiggles their behind, and pounces. They cling to English's back, wrapping their legs around his midriff, drawing back their arms and plunging their claws deep into the behemoth's armpits. Their gloved hands end up knuckle-deep in the upper serratus muscles on either side. Dave Petta then spreads their wings in an awe-inspiring display. An unwitting spectator viewing Lord English from the front might suspect the garish orange-green wings belong to English himself. Dave Petta then, with all their might, lifts Lord English into the air and flies toward the black hole, trailing a ribbon of blood and neon. English resists fiercely, but they're both already locked into the gravity well beyond any threshold of escape. He cannot do anything about it, no matter how much he screams and cries. This victory, this final sacrifice, has always been the destiny of Dave Petta, as they have sensed from the moment they were created. And to die on this day, in this way, has always been the destiny of Lord English. The black hole, the gaping, implacable cosmic embodiment of the dead cherub, his long-departed sister, finally welcomes Lord English home. You cried at Dave Petta sacrificing themselves? Oh, yeah, no, it's a really highly emotional moment. And I mean, we don't really, well, we kind of find out whether or not we don't really know whether or not Dave Petta survives going through the black hole into the Candy universe, because we don't see any of the other sprites on Earthsea. Right? Like, we know that Alt Calliope, the feather comes down, and that's how we kind of know that it's Dave Petta and Lord English making their entrance, right? And yes, of course, that's where Lord English is going. Lord English going through the black hole is going to be immediately have his torso taken over and possessed by Alt Calliope so that she may be the first guardian of Earthsea. Yeah. But yeah, we don't really see Dave Petta. There's just that one little feather giving us that little bit of hope that they survive. There we go. Okay, found my spot. English and Dave Petta are sucked in with a subatomic whimper. The reunion sends shockwaves across the pitiful remains of Paradox space. And then everything is wholly, utterly, and categorically silent. It's over. Lord English is dead. But it doesn't feel over somehow. You don't feel like you've won. You barely feel anything. My goodness, it is definitely break time. You can barely feel anything, actually. All you can think about for now is Dave Petta. How they were so unfettered and brave. How they sacrificed themselves by flying right into the black hole like a fucking piece of garbage, you can almost hear Dave saying. May God rest his soul. See, that's something that struck me as a little weird. That line, paired with the fact that supposedly Catholicism and Christianity, like, exist on Earthsea, and there are, like, chapels and stuff. Like, over the, what was it, like 5,000 years or something? That the kids left Earthsea to develop, wouldn't they have developed a whole bunch of their own distinct religious practices, since Jesus is literally not a part of this world's history? And, like, the fact that it's in a chapel, like, is also kind of implying that at least, like, that one of them, some of them, or whatever, were practicing either Catholics or Christians. That part kind of confused me in terms of how that fits into Earthsea's world building. And, like, why exactly John would think that in particular when, like, he's literally a god? Jane's the Catholic. I mean, like, yeah, like, true, but yeah, it just struck me as odd that Earthsea has a chapel, or more likely chapels plural. Like, I mean, even for the kids, even for the beta kids and the alpha kids, it fucking boggles the mind to think if any of them did have those sorts of beliefs before this experience, how the fuck those beliefs could still be intact after everything that they've went through, you know, with all this, you know, like, they created a universe and became gods themselves and all this other stuff. Anyway, we're like one paragraph away from taking break, and I really need it. So, yeah, we're 20 minutes past. Whoopsies. Let's get this last paragraph out of the way. You collapse against whatever is passing for the floor at this moment of utterly null corporeal conditions surrounding you. It doesn't feel possible. You're not sure you can even trust your perception well enough to believe it. But it seems to be over. You've convinced yourself of this truth well enough to allow yourself to exhale, enough to allow yourself to suddenly acknowledge the agony coursing through your body, emanating from the gold tooth lodged in your chest, enough to allow yourself to succumb to the overwhelming urge to sleep. Close your eyes. Okay, 16. I do believe this is the chapter where we finally switch over to the orange text at the end. But whether or not this is indeed the chapter, I shall leave a mystery until we get there. So, it's break time. It should have been break time like 20 minutes ago. Yeah, I'm gonna keep playing volume 10, and we'll be back in 5 minutes to start chapter 16. Talk about good timing. That was right at the end of that song. The alarm went off. Yeah, man. Okay. So we got 40 minutes, like 35 minutes left. This is another one on the longer end, so I'm guessing this is probably going to be the last one we read today. Yeah, let's just get right back into it then. 16. When I was a child, I wrote a novel. Rose is speaking with her eyes closed. She is weary, but standing for now near one of Dirk's work tables. She has both hands resting on the chassis of his recent project, Sawtooth 3.1. The energy humming inside its mechanical heart warms her palms. Dirk snorts, but in a good-natured sort of way. That's the closest he usually gets to laughing. Another one of those Lalonde childhood wizard fics, I presume? He leans his elbows on the table and stares at her over the rims of his shades. The weight of Dirk's scrutiny is potent. She looks away. Complacency of the learned. Ah, the wizard fic, then. Yes. Of course, it was nothing like the polished masterpiece he's penned by the middle-aged version of myself from your world. Nor did the saga span as many volumes. 13-year-old Rose only managed to draft the one, it shames me to say. How pathetic. I know. Rose steps back, trailing her fingers over the rivets that line Sawtooth 3.1's chest. Eyes closed again, she passes in front of the window. With the sunset behind her, she's a shadow ringed in yellow light that turns white at the tips of her hair. Though I must say, in defense of young Rose's literary integrity, having carefully studied all volumes of the Elder's work, and then revisiting my youthful preteen scribbles of passion, I observed more power and emotion in the single ragged notebook than the full span of the best-selling series. It's more raw. It betrays considerably more sincerity than my young self was surely ever aware of stitching into the prose. It meant something. She turns to look at him. For all its plainly evident amateurism as the literary product of a child, I've come to believe it's a much stronger work standing alone as a single volume, its meaning and symbolism potently compressed, and its message shining through more nakedly, undisguised by the cleverness of a more seasoned writer. But the basics are the same as the series you've read. The plot concerns the machinations of 12 wizard children. They revolt against the complacency of the wise, kind wizards, and go on to become responsible for great evils. It isn't their intent to commit atrocities, or within their nature to do so originally. They become corrupted by an overabundance of knowledge, the kind never meant for the mortal mind to grasp. Yeah, that sounds pretty close to my recollection of it. It certainly wasn't the most fucked up thing I've ever written, but it was the most psychologically potent, the most personal, easily. But the personal aspects to it were all telegraphed through allegory and esoteric symbolism. I wrote it in what would be best described as a fevered haze, as if I were pulling inspiration from beyond myself, channeling the story rather than writing it. You could almost call the process She runs a hand through her hair, fanning it in a halo that is suspended in the air for a moment, trailing webs of gold that dissolve into dust. She's smirking now, just a little. Enlightened. That sucked. Yes. And of course, talking about the corrupting of the mind with an overabundance of knowledge is leading into the discussion of what exactly is happening in terms of their powers and the ultimate self. It also sounds like the opposite of what was going on. It sounds more like you were trapped in a sort of dire creative fugue state, causing you to chart your own mental profile using metaphor revolving around murderous, omniscient children. Well, consider the playful pun rescinded. Apologies for diminishing your presence with my suboptimal health and the toll it has taken on my wordplay. Thanks. It's been very difficult for me. You've been a real trooper. Anyway, my point is that I've long suspected my story was a pre-manifestation of my Seer of Light powers. I was seeing beyond my universe into another. My original thesis was that the children represented the 12 trolls who created our universe, but over the years I've come to see how malleable any apparent fact of numerological significance can be. Adaptable, actually. Adaptable to shifting circumstance, changes in settings, stakes, and allied ensembles. 12. That's how many players went through the door at the end of our game. Exactly. My friends and yours, as well as Kanaya, Karkat, Terezi, and Calliope. Dirk settles in against the wall beside Rose, shoulder to shoulder. She seems to take some measure of comfort in the physical proximity. When she finds herself leaning against him, probably without thinking about it, Dirk imagines, because neither of them really do that, he doesn't pull away. If it's her, it's all right. He won't begrudge her a small weakness now. You describe this as a fact of numerological significance, which makes it seem you suspect these correlations are something less than utterly providential, as if there's a part of you holding on to the belief that certain figures are coincidental, that their significance and repetition smacks of bullshit. Do they not smack of bullshit? They smack of a bunch of things, and a bunch of other things also happen to smack of bullshit. But the network of relations isn't perfectly traceable, nor can they all be mapped on a one-to-one basis. It's unclear exactly what things are smacking, just as it's unclear as that when it comes to bullshit, whether or not smacking accurately describes what is being done per se. Oh my god, that whole, fucking paragraph just, threw me for a loop the first time I read it. I was like, okay, you fucking lost me there. What? Rose looks up to Dirk with the ghost of a smile that she inherited from him. On her face, its blankness is as enigmatic as the Mona Lisa's. Could it be that it is you who is smacking of bullshit, dear father? Nah, I smack of many admirable qualities, as well as keen insights. She doesn't seem to have another riposte to return, but her gaze lingers. She stares into his shades as if convinced she could see past them. Dirk allows their eyes to meet. I'm just saying, it's all evidence of a grand design, an immortal metatextual apparatus beyond our ken that we can only catch glimpses of when we're proverbially shitting our brains out through our noses, which both you and I know. Which only you and I know, apparently. Which is precisely my question. So I guess this kind of ties into what I was saying earlier, but how could they possibly hold on to those beliefs, right? I guess this is how. Her gaze drifts towards the ceiling. In my story, all 12 of the disciples fell victim to the vagaries of power. They were filled with the light of knowledge, and one by one they succumbed to it, turning insane or evil, or most often both. If this is the effect unchecked powers have on players living in a post-canon victory state, then why isn't it affecting any of our other friends? Well, I've got a few theories. She shoots him a look. It's the kind of look Kanaya gives her sometimes. My heart. Ah! Only a few? I mean, some of us have stopped using our powers completely. Not a whole lot of need for emergency resurrections or complex timeline manipulation on a planet that's never had a conflict more serious than a sports ball riot or a rumpled hat shortage. But even aside from how often they're used, some powers don't lend themselves to the infinite expansion of one's mind the way others do. I see. So what you're saying is, it's more a matter of one's aspect than it is whether one's powers are practiced further or allowed to atrophy. Yep. In that case... Rose sways suddenly. In that case, perhaps Terezi had the right idea. Getting away from this place, I mean. Maybe I'm a fool for imagining I could settle down here. She jerks away from the wall in a tortured ragdoll motion, one hand snapping out vainly for something to brace herself against. She staggers forward a bit. Dirk doesn't reach out to steady her. Anyone else might have had the empathetic reflex to do so. Maybe it says something about him that he lacks this reflex. And maybe it says something about Rose that she prefers it this way. Try as she might to convince herself otherwise, through marriage vows and occasional banter about adoption with her wife, she is still a solitary creature. She gasps, sucks breath down her throat, and squeezes her eyes shut so hard that a tear rolls out. She slides back down the wall, sitting on the floor to save her energy. She's mostly composed when she raises her head. There's bitter laughter at the edge of her words. How are you handling this so well? I assumed it was just that feigned stride or stoicism, but you seem to be taking this in stride? Ugh. I won't lie. It's definitely making me feel pretty crazy. Dirk stands over her, adjusts his hair, and crosses his arms. He makes no motion to bother joining her on the floor. He looks very together. He says the word crazy with the same intonation which she might say, "Good morning." It's hard to believe he means it at all. But I've got more practice at this than you do. I spent most of my life before the game multitasking my entire fucking subconscious. I've had several times my age on paper to contemplate these mysteries. Years of prying open can after can of worms filled with answers I don't like. Cut yourself on the edge more than once and you stop getting surprised by all the blood. I see. Rose wraps her hands around her upper arms like there's a winter chill rattling through the workshop. She shivers. It's not the headaches that concern me most. In fact, I don't think it's the expansion of my powers that is causing the headaches, but rather my own resistance to it. Sometimes I get the feeling that I could, if I really wanted to, just let go. It would be as easy as opening my eyes. It's like that feeling you get when you're far enough out of a dream to be conscious of it, but not yet awake. I'm caught in the liminal space between reality and reverie, where people once believed demons dwelled, but the only reason the demon is still sitting on my chest is because I refuse to banish it. And all it would take was looking in the other direction. All it would take is looking directly at it. I'm forcing myself to stumble through my life as a sleepwalker. All this pain and sorrow would go away if I would just allow myself to wake up. Then why don't you? Because I'm not sure that the person opening her eyes will be me. Her voice is lost at sea, swallowed by the swell of darkness lurking in her imagination. This time, Dirk does reach out to steady her. He kneels in front of her, curls a knuckle under her chin, and lifts her face up to his level. Then, in a deliberate motion, he pulls off his shades. I understand completely. Rose's eyelids flutter heavy. She meets the intensity of his naked gaze aloofly, like she's not aware this is the first time he's ever let her see it. I know I sound pretty nonchalant most of the time, but actually I'm scared shitless of myself. I've always had this uncanny ability to chart a course from A to Z and not give a fuck about any of the letters in between. I'm not sure anyone should be allowed to have that much foresight, especially a guy like me. So, yeah, there he's talking again. He's doubting himself. And we get a bit of a deeper insight into exactly what his line of thought is with that kind of thinking when we get very late meet. When he goes off on his whole short chapter about how, you know, if someone comes to stop him, he's not going to try and stop them from stopping him, so to speak. I will admit that the exact Dirkonomics, so to speak, is a level of analysis that I need to do more research on. So I will try to speak to it as intelligently as I can. But, yeah, I do need to do a little bit more theory crafting and reading up. What upsets me most, I think, is the distance this is putting between me and everyone I know. The farther above the board you fly, the harder it gets to care about the pieces. I hear you. And personally speaking, things usually work out for the best when all of those pieces do exactly what I say. So I'm also probably not the kind of guy who should get to be right all the time. Rose laughs softly. She's not scared of this abyss she's staring into at all. She doesn't even think to look away. There's really not an inch of humility in you, is there? I've just spent a lot of time in my own head. Maybe absolute self-absorption is the inevitable outcome when the self is all you've ever known, when you're drowning in it. I know there's plenty of things that suck about me. No point in feigning humility about the things that don't. And yes, I may be a shitty human being, but as a mechanic, I'm off the fucking charts. Rose's eyes have grown distant, almost mirror-like. Dirk can see himself reflected in her vacant stare. All the pieces are in their place. The mechanisms are all running smoothly. She says this in a hollow tone. It's the disarming voice a puppeteer ventriloquizes for a marionette. Her head falls toward her shoulder slowly. Dirk catches her cheek as it slides into sleep. It's difficult for the untrained ear to spot the exact moment in their conversation where the words she was saying stopped being hers and started being his. Or maybe they were her words. Does it really matter? In many respects, they're basically the same person, aren't they? Kindred spirits in blood and perspective, the puppet masters of the respective names they like to believe they're playing. But you already knew that, right? Bang, there it is. Okay, welcome to Orange Hell. Yes, this is 100% Dirk's words through her mouth. Okay, so we have one short chapter here, and then we'll see how long the one after this is, but this might be it for today. Oh my. So this is Dirk speaking directly to us, the readers. Yeah, Orange Hell. I never want to see any orange text ever again for the rest of my fucking life. Why is it cold in the house? It's the chill down your spine from that shocking reveal. Okay, chapter 17. Let's go. 17. Oh, before I start, all of the narrative lines, I'm not gonna do my Dirk voice. I'm just gonna read them in a regular narrative voice because Dirk voices is too much effort for all the big blocks of text. 17. None of my friends have noticed it yet, but you have. You have the ability to read between the lines, to understand that our lives are blighted by the undercurrent of subtext, of narrative significance. Anyone paying attention could have guessed by now who's really telling this story. Yes, it's you, Dirk. You're not so innocent either. I've caught you leering at some pretty personal moments. Are you having fun being a voyeur? Just violating the shit out of everyone's privacy? Are these teenage romantic entanglements panning out the way you wanted? They never do. Maybe it helps being able to see everyone's thoughts described in plain sight, broadcasting the internal conflicts, the compromises, the doubts. Does it make it easier for you to accept the emotional faltering, the missteps, the basic inability to reach out and seize the opportunity for happiness repeatedly dangling in their faces? Knowing their thoughts are transcribed by a third party, does it fill you with a sense of unease, of sickness, sensing that the observations made of their mental interiors may be tainted? Well, let's take a look at those questions. You are the one who is really violating the shit out of everyone's privacy by literally pawing through the thoughts that you have not, and having knowledge that you have not even decided to put on paper for us, the viewers. Or the readers, so to speak. Does it help at all having their things broadcast in plain sight? So here's something that I kind of didn't realize until I read someone talking about it online. This is kind of the first time we get like this level of depth of looking directly into the thought process of Homestuck characters. We've never had this level of hearing their direct thoughts before. And that kind of hit me, and I was like, whoa, that is true. But the answer to this is yes. Knowing that their thoughts are transcribed by a third party, does it fill you a sense of unease, sickness, sensing their observations made of their mental interiors may be tainted, because they are tainted. They're not just tainted by you describing them, they're tainted by you pawing through everybody's deepest fucking thoughts. Who the hell do I think I am? I can hear you wondering. You know who I am, of course. The better question is, who do you think you are? What exactly is so special about you? Nothing, of course. I am specific. I have a name, an agenda, a vision. I am a monolith of concentrated narrative authority, relaying events to you and swaying them as I see fit. Whereas you are pointedly non-specific. You are the generalized, impotent witness to all this. You are essentially as beholden to me as those whose lives I describe. I even have the ability to decide what you actually means. I can take the you-ness away from you and put it inside another passive mark, such as John Egbert. You didn't even notice when I did that, and you had no objection then. Why would you object now? This paragraph now is reminding me of a theory that I read online about how someone theorized that in this paragraph, like, yeah, okay, Nebulous, us the reader, but Dirk is specifically speaking to MSPA reader, like the character MSPA reader. So what makes John so special? The answer is something I'm sure you've suspected all along but would rather not face, which is probably nothing. He isn't special. He's quite ordinary, I assure you. Boring, even, and getting less interesting by the minute as he's forced to confront his absolute lack of heroic purpose except as a pawn to be manipulated by a fatalistic reality. I know that John is supposed to be kind of like the everyman, but there's definitely more to him than that, and Dirk is being pretty cruel in his description here. But I'd also like to make it clear, he's not even that remarkable in his unremarkableness. He's simply convenient for it. Anyone can be endowed with this you-ness if I think it achieves a certain goal, even if the objective is merely to demonstrate the gambit's potential, to reveal the effortlessness behind it, to make a show of who matters and who doesn't, even if they do matter, for how long and for what purpose, as dictated solely by the allocation of this faculty. You-ness can be stripped away from the lowly Egbert just as easily as it was given, and then bestowed upon the mighty circuit, but even then only long enough to dismiss the vainglorious spotlight hog from the narrative forever. Good riddance. But I haven't revealed myself to you just to boast about the abilities arising from the gradual obliteration of the constraints on my consciousness. I've only taken a moment to answer a few questions. Not ones I heard you ask, because again, you are non-specific and therefore do not matter, but ones I imagined you asking. And by imagining these questions, they become less fake, and as such demanded similarly non-fake answers. No, in truth, the time has come to make my presence known in order to start beginning to start bringing my plans to fruition. It's time to get down to fucking business. John needs to wake up. Woo, buddy. MSPA reader's probably done with people pulling the strings. Yeah, that's a good way to pull it. MSPA reader is... Oh, goodness. MSPA reader has been put through the fucking ringer. Okay, we're like, Okay, I feel like this one is short enough that I should be able to cram it into the last 10 minutes here. Might go a little bit over time, but that's not so bad. There, right. Yeah. True. Fucking that shit up. Yeah, they are having a bad time. They've had a very bad time with omnipresent narrative controllers. That's another thing that I read about this whole thing with Dirk and narrative control, about how it's what's it called? Kind of ghosted in through... I am missing the words for explaining this. Doc Scratch. Okay, I'm gonna leave this conversation for a time when I actually have the words to explain what I'm talking about. Right. Oh, and here's another one of those ominous titles, Epilogue 4. Okay. 18. You wake up. What? You open your eyes. Actually, you're not sure they're open. Everything is intolerably bright, like it was inside the juju, but worse. Did you go blind? Are you dead? Is your ghost dead? You spend a couple seconds filing through your miserable worst-case scenarios, but then you see it. Your own blood floating around you in a nimbus of shiny, taut bubbles. You reach out to touch one, and it bursts around your finger. You finally process the true magnitude of what has happened. The furthest ring has been completely destroyed, and you're all alone. Everything hits you all at once. The light, your memories of the battle, the untethered sensation of weightlessness. It's a hammer stroke that hits you in the center of the head. It splits like rivers through your gray matter. That pain and disorientation goes all the way to your throat. You double over and... well, you're vomiting up everything in your stomach. Rest assured, it's pretty gross, and I don't think anyone needs an explicit account of the way you're disgorging your entire gut in zero gravity, or the way it's coating your entire torso in puke, from your long blue hood to your silly yellow slip-ons. You seriously need to get it together. You look like absolute shit right now, my man. In fact, you really should strongly consider issuing an apology for the mess you're making. I'm sorry? Who are you talking to, dude? Nobody's around for miles. Everyone's dead. Well, almost everyone. But certainly the vast majority of what qualifies as everyone in your current frame of reference. Every single person and every single thing, nearly literally, has been sucked into that monstrous black hole up there, indulging every single fragment of black, empty space that used to provide the canvas for this bleak continuum. And most of your friends, Rose, Dave, Absurd Cat Dave, and hundreds of ghosts, who all valiantly contributed to a victory which you're only now beginning to question the functional necessity of. Functional necessity? That doesn't sound like something I would think. That's because it's not. What the fuck? You finally noticed. No, not me. You go back to ignoring the fact that I'm the voice in your head. You noticed how it hurts when you breathe. Suddenly you remember. Lord English's tooth is still embedded in your chest. You panic, wrap your hands around the base, and give it a little tug. It's excruciating. The tooth makes an awful grating sound as it grinds along one of your ribs. You gasp and lose your grip, biting the inside of your mouth so hard that you taste blood. Can't blame you for trying, but I wouldn't do that if I were you. Without someone to administer proper medical care, you'll bleed to death pretty much instantly. On the other hand, the tooth is poisoned, so you're pretty much fucked either way, and that's really all there is to say on the matter. You sigh in painful resignation and wonder what to do next. English is dead, so you suppose you can go home, right? It's tempting. You consider zapping back to Earthsea, being done with this nightmare for good, and never breathing a word of it to anyone ever again. But you can't yet. Can you? Why not, you wonder? What's the harm? You're right, it would probably be a harmless decision in the grand scheme of things. Certainly the easiest thing to do. But what about your friends? You saw Rose and Dave die with your own eyes. You saw countless ghosts getting swallowed whole by a voracious singularity. How about Jade, though? She could still be out there somewhere, injured, alone, scared. And it's your fault, isn't it? It's all my fault. No, it's not. Dirk, shut the fuck up. You decide that no matter how terrible you feel, you should look around first before you leave. You were the one who dragged her here. You owe her at least that much. Plus, there's someone else on your mind, isn't there? You proceed to wander for a long fucking time. Time passes differently here than it does for everyone else. Here, I'll simulate it for you. I just left to go take a piss. Then I microwaved myself a Hot Pocket. Then I came back. In the time it took me to do that, you just spent hours drifting around the entire circumference of the black hole, thinking sad sack thoughts about the years of inaction that led you to this point, intermittently humming the Ghostbusters theme to yourself. You get so worked up about one of your Ghostbusters freestyles that you almost miss it. There, 11 o'clock. Do you see it? It's that tiny dot floating over there. Huh? You scramble to catch it before it drifts any closer to the event horizon. Got it. What the hell? It feels familiar, but you want to make sure you're not imagining it. A wallet. Your dad's wallet. You chew your lip and press your fingers into the soft leather. Space is an infinitely large expanse, and a wallet is a tiny, insignificant object. Sure, there have been crazier coincidences in the course of this wacky adventure you've been having for the past 10 years, but this one feels very precisely aimed at your heart. You take a deep breath, unfold the wallet, and open it. Anyway, back to the B-plot. Oh, that fucked me up the first time I read this. I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now, Dirk? Okay. 2 minutes to end. Wow, these... I almost don't want to say it out loud. I don't want to jinx it, but these epilogue streams have been finishing at, like, the precisely perfect time. I mean, like, God, do I ever want to read this chapter because it's Jade and Roxy and Calliope. But it is time for me to rest my voice, because it is the end of the weekend stream. End of both of our weekend streams, actually. And, indeed, that's all for today, folks. We're gonna get back to this next Friday. Yeah, next Friday, unless otherwise, unless I have a D&D game to bump the streams forward a little bit for. Indeed, and this should be going up on YouTube ASAP. Alright, thanks so much for hanging out this evening. I hope you all had a wonderful time. Hope you have a splendid rest of your evening, whatever you may be getting up to. That is good night from my end, and Sound Judgment, my favorite song on Volume 10, quite possibly one of my favorites in the entire Homestuck soundtrack, will play us out.